There are many animals and plants that come to mind when you think of the desert. Frogs are usually not one of them.
Our lower Colorado desert, where Anza-Borrego Desert State Park lies, doesn't receive a lot of rainfall. And so it's on what we call the rain shadow side of our peninsular ranges, our mountains. And so our mountains capture all the Pacific storms that are heading towards the desert, drain them of their moisture, and so by the time those clouds get to the other side of the mountains, there's no more moisture left.
Although water is scarce in the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, two species of frogs form part of the native amphibians found in the area. But how do these amphibians survive in a world where animals have such limited access to water?
With good annual, wintertime precipitation in the mountains, that will mean good springtime runoff for our frogs in the desert. And so they're able to live in very, very small oases, very, very small ponds, or very, very small sections of streams which tend to have water on the surface through the spring and early summer seasons. And so they have a very quick life cycle that goes through the spring and early summer months. And so they're able to get by living in these little pockets of moisture, even though all around you, you see succulent plants and it's generally very, very hot. And so, but in these cool, moist areas, these amphibians are able to carve out a living.
Park biologists and local herpetologists are working hard to study the Anza-Borrego wildlife populations, but there are still mysteries left to discover. Slender salamanders are also believed to reside in this desert bioregion.
We hold the only 2 samples of slender salamanders from Centenac Canyon inside the park. And so slender salamanders have been seen in the park, but they were collected way back in 1929 by some of our founding scientists here at the museum. And so 2 specimens over the last 80 to 100 years. Obviously these animals are quite rare. And so when you're looking at life in the desert and you're only seeing some populations every 10, 20, 30, maybe every 100 years, certainly the need for study when you do find them is really, really important. And so being able to get out and study the intricacies of how these organisms are living in such a small space, in a small area, usually turns into a really fascinating biological story. And this is sort of the trick of the life in the desert, is that you have to look for the micropopulations, the little niches in which organisms carve out a living in this very harsh environment. And that's what I think when you start understanding the desert, you really start understanding the specialness of how plants and animals are able to find small regions in order to live their lives.